Hello, welcome to CIA News Analysis. Tomorrow's crypto news today. In our first headline today, a very misleading headline, may I add, from Bloomberg, we see Wall Street giants postpone entering crypto industry amid falling prices. Now, before we dive into this article, I just want to say that this is a completely misleading, outright lie of a headline. Perfect FUD from a mainstream resource like Bloomberg. Wall Street giants postpone entering crypto industry amid falling prices. Wall Street giants and institutions are salivating out the mouth. They are ready for the CFTC and the SEC to approve their regulations and to approve their rule changes in order to bring cryptocurrency financial products to the mainstreamers. So the banks and Wall Street are the people who are financing the ecosystem that is going to build and run the future economy. So in no way are they shying away or postponing their entry into cryptocurrency because of price points. They are, in fact, financing the industry and awaiting approval from the government regulatory bodies to bring these products to the mainstream. That's where we sit right now in the market. This is simply just not true. And we see in the article, it goes through and it talks about how Wall Street giants are postponing their plans to more actively enter the crypto industry as the value of cryptocurrencies has fallen. And it goes on to talk about Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, Barclays, Galaxy Digital, but it also mentions how Goldman Sachs and Galaxy Digital just invested $15 million into the U.S. crypto custody service BitGo. That's quite aggressive. That's the opposite of postponing your entry. That's signing a deal and moving forward. So we see the news saying one thing, promoting one narrative, and then we see the actual reality portraying the opposite of what the news is saying about the market. A horrible headline and just not the truth about what's happening within the cryptocurrency ecosystem, especially when it comes to Wall Street and the institutionalization of Bitcoin. In our next article, we see Bank of America reveals new blockchain patent targeting cash handling. Now, Bank of America wants to patent a system using blockchain technology to improve cash handling. Now, in the patent, they say, in many instances, however, it may be difficult to integrate such cash handling devices with technical infrastructure that supports banking operations and other operations while also optimizing the efficient and effective technical operations of the cash handling devices and various related computer systems. It says Bank of America has sought to step up its efforts to snag intellectual property in the blockchain sphere over the past 2 years. In November, the bank was revealed to have the most such blockchain patents at more than 50 blockchain patents amid curiosity as to whether it would pull all of them to use in the near term. In the near term, not so sure, but in the long term, they're 100% sure, which is why they have more than 50 blockchain patents. Their business model is old and dying. The new business is emerging right now. And it's funny that we see these kind of headlines, the Wall Street giants postpone entering crypto industry. That's a fake headline. And then you see a headline like this where Bank of America is chasing down patents for this emerging technology. And I think what we see here, again, goes back to the psychology of the market. What we see here is that at the top of the market, everybody is going to say everything's good, everything's going up, everybody's going to be rich. And then at the bottom of the market where you have capitulation and anger, what's going on here? Who's doing this? What's going on? And what it says here is, why did the government allow this to happen? And for anybody trying to figure out where we are within the Bitcoin cycle right now, I think potentially within the next couple of months, when maybe the CFTC decision doesn't go as everybody wanted and the SEC decision may get denied and they have to reapply, my goodness, why wouldn't it make sense when they ask this question? Why did the government allow this to happen? Maybe that's where we'll be within that cycle. And look how low that is within the cycle. It'll probably be one of the best times to pick up cryptocurrency over the course of the next year, as we prepare to go into the next market cycle, which will take place after Bitcoin begins its next halving cycle. Well, I brought you into that psychology of a market because I want you to see that we have this kind of bearish headline, which is a false narrative because we see again, the news saying one thing, but then the market doing another thing. And then we have a headline like this where Bank of America is revealing the importance of the intellectual property that goes along with blockchain as a technology and how it's going to be used to integrate into the current systems and upgrade these systems, and how eventually blockchain as a technology will take over, and then blockchain as a currency will be used to operate in between those systems. So very funny that we see that. And of course we see in this article here that those very same banks, these same banks who are being portrayed as shying away, yet at the same time filing for patents, they have analysts that say pretty much everybody on Wall Street thinks the market will rally in 2019. Pretty much everybody on Wall Street thinks the market will rally in 2019. Well, if you read our Trump bump report, you realize that we have a similar conclusion, but also what happens after the rally is just as important as going through the rally. But what we see here is that this looks like you're right here. It looks like everybody's saying, I'm going to buy more on margin. Got to tell everybody to buy. The market's going up. No questions asked. Everybody says the market's going up. And euphoria, I'm a genius. We're all going to be rich. Put your money in the market. Well, that's what we see right here with all these bankers, all the same bankers who are being portrayed as shying away from the market. Remember, we got banks like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs and Citigroup and Barclays all being portrayed as shying away from the market, and at the same time telling you, oh, Bank of America, Barclays, Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, oh, don't worry about this blockchain thing. We're shying away from that. And look, the stock market, man, sky is the limit, baby. Sky's the limit. Only place to go in the stocks is up. Well, I hope that's the truth. I hope that's the truth, and it would benefit CIA members as we have a traditional stock portfolio, but also there are enough warning bells and whistles going off right now that we actually may find ourselves in the euphoria stage, and it's time to have those hedges. So if you haven't already, again, read the Trump bump report and go ahead and get these ETF hedges down so that you're able to protect yourself, your family, and your net worth as we go through what could be one of the greatest transfers of wealth in human history. And on to our final article, we see that the ex-CIA official claims blockchain is biggest threat to future of U.S. national security. Now, this is a fantastic headline, and finally, somebody along the lines of what I'm saying is getting published in the mainstream news. What we see here is that Andrew Bustamante, reportedly a former CIA intelligence officer, has claimed blockchain is super powerful stuff that represents a threat to America's national security. He's quoted answering a question from one Redditor that had asked what he thought represents the biggest threat to America's national security in the coming years. And he was given leading answers such as Russia or climate change or Iran or North Korea. And the agent had replied with this. He said, blockchain technology, no joke, super powerful stuff. And the first one to figure out how to hack it, manipulate it, or bring it down wins. Well, I'm not sure about the hacking and manipulating part, especially if you're talking about a decentralized blockchain. But what we do see here is that blockchain as a technology is definitely taking over, and there's nothing anybody can do to stop it. And blockchain as a currency is the biggest threat to the future of U.S. national security. Why? Because the U.S. dollar is the global reserve. The petrodollar is the global reserve. It's the reason why the United States has so much prosperity as it does right now. If you take away the dollar being the global reserve currency, which other countries are trying to do and fight against the dollar. They're trying to fight Russia and China, buying gold and selling oil for the petro yuan instead of the petrodollar. The dollar is fighting to maintain its global reserve currency status, and if it loses that status to a blockchain currency such as Bitcoin, well, say goodbye to the United States as you know it. It will no longer be a first world country. And if you've been to the Far East, where they're building up these technologies, you might already think that the United States is a second world country. They're so far advanced with the integration of this technology into their public systems, into their laws, and such. The United States is behind on regulation. The United States is behind on clear policies. The United States is behind on understanding the technology. And the biggest threat is that the dollar could potentially be replaced by a blockchain currency such as Bitcoin as a global reserve or a global unit of exchange. And that is what makes it the biggest threat to U.S. security. And then in the long run, when we're all tied into that system, is a threat to you and your family, because if you don't believe what the state believes, then you're not going to be able to buy or sell. Well, that's it for CIA News Analysis. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your support.